Yeah, obviously, we're excited about going down to the Bahamas. The players are really looking forward to it. When you get ready for a bowl game, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement that takes place. Sometimes you want to make sure you remember that you're going down there to win a ball game, and I think that's the makeup of our team. That's what we've been all about. Unfortunately, the tail end of the season did not play as well as we were capable of playing, didn't coach as well as I think we're capable of coaching, and so we let a couple games get away from us. And, we want to go down there and make sure that we play our very best football game, and that it's not a situation where we have any regrets when we walk off the field. I was really pleased with the All-MAC selections. Would have liked to have had a few more guys on the first team, but overall I think we tied for the lead in terms of first, second, third team All-MAC selections with Western Michigan, 12 total players, which is very representable in terms of what we were all about this year athletically. So congratulations certainly to those guys for the great job that they did throughout the course of the year. Just a little bit about UAB. They're a team that has gone through a lot, obviously, with the disbanding of football there for a year, and they're just really getting back and getting going. Again, I think this is maybe their second year, very first year off of that. So that it's remarkable that they were able to get accomplished what they did. So it should be a great football matchup, and one we're looking forward to. We'll practice here today and go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday of this week. Finals are the following week, so we're probably only going to get 2 practices in during the week. That'll be a Tuesday and a Friday, and then we'll end up making sure that we get one more in over the weekend, which will then take us to the week that we travel down there on Monday. We get down there on the 18th. We will not practice on that day, but we will have 3 practices to really kind of polish up. The heavy work will be done here. So glad to answer any questions you may have.
Coach, it's 81 degrees in the Bahamas right now. It's 50, which is balmy for this time of year in Athens, but what can you do to try to jumpstart the acclimation process, because you only have a couple of days down there before the game? Is there any way that you could turn up the heat in the Walter Fieldhouse?
Well, that's the plan, is to try to make sure the doors are closed, and we've got underground heating there. I'm not so sure that you can crank it up, but you can certainly get that activated, and it'll get stuffy in there. And so we're going to try to make them as stuffy as we can, and make it as stuffy in there as we can, and simulate it as what we can best. We'll be conditioned really well. That will help. We'll be hydrated very well, which will help. We've been accustomed over the years to sometimes opening our season up down south, or playing in really high humidity and high heat, and we've generally held up very, very well in those conditions. So I think we'll condition them properly so that we'll be able to get it done right and play at a level that we need to play it at.
Okay. Hey, Frank, looking at the numbers, UAB, it seems to be similar to your group offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Do they, they run heavy, but do they attack on the ground the same way you guys do? As one back says.
Yeah. They have a quarterback that is a very good runner, and so they utilize him well, as well as a big-time running back. And so the ground game is something that they they employ very well, and they'll obviously try to beat you up with that as they go through the game and wear you down and just be the better team in the fourth quarter. We know what that's all about. We'll probably try to do a little bit of that also. And but they do have an excellent running game. Their quarterback is a very, very capable thrower, and they have really good receivers. So, in order to have a good running game like they have, you got to have good offensive linemen. So, they're well balanced in that regard on the offensive side of the ball. Really good players at every position. So it'll be a chore to stop them. We'll have to stop the running game first, and then move on from there.
Have you ever? You mentioned it at the top there. UAB had been shut down for 2 full years. Had there any kind of prior experience of going against a team like that before for you? A team that's kind of brand new, but is doing things at a high enough level to win a bunch of games?
I can't recall a situation like that I've coached against, but there are some things they had going for them. Even though they had to disband football or eliminated football from their program for a couple years, they ended up in the recruiting process being able to recruit some junior college kids, and I think we're able to do it in a manner that they NCAA-wise were able to do some things that maybe most schools couldn't. So I think they were able to put together a team very quickly once they got back into the sport of football, and they've got good athletes. I mean, it's clear that they in playing together, you could see their team get better and better as the season went on. And so obviously that's a tough way to go to just start off this season and not have previous playing experience with that group before, and to play as well as they did early on, to not let the season slide downhill, but to be competitive and then finish the way they have, speaks highly of their coaching staff and their athletes.
Back to the all-conference teams for a moment. You weren't in the championship game, but you still led the league with 12 guys there, and there could have even been more, and maybe some other guys on the first team. But what does it say about where your program's at and what your players accomplished to get that number up there?
Yeah, we've got really good players in the system. I think the last 2 to 3 recruiting classes have been some of the best that we've had since we've been here. I thought this year's team was special in a lot of ways. Great leadership on the team, as well as athleticism. Guys that studied the game, really wanted to take the program to another level. We had our opportunity to do that. After the Toledo game, we had opportunities to, if we can continue to win. Obviously, we were in the driver's seat as far as getting in the MAC championship game. We lost 2 very close football games. We lost the turnover ratio and badly in both those games. We lost the field position in those games, and there were some things that weren't representable of our football team that in terms of how we played in those 2 games. So we let them slip away a little bit. But we're closer and closer to being the kind of football team that can break into the top 25, that can win MAC championships, and so that's the next step for our program. There was no talk this year at all about becoming bowl eligible. Not one word was mentioned from a coach, not one word from a player. I think our guys expected to be a bowl football team. And we've been very consistent in that in the program. So they just automatically feel like we're going to be at a bowl. But what we want to do now is to take the step to get to the MAC championship game with regularity and win it with regularity. And so those are the things that we're looking for to get done with this program.
Coach, you just talked about how, you guys expect to get in the bowl, kind of trying to increase your expectations. I guess, how do you kind of continue that culture in which you guys just continue to improve and continue to, go into the MAC championship on a regular basis?
Well, we need to continue to recruit hard. We need to be able to attract top-notch players and students here at Ohio University. I think we're able to do that. We're our facilities are continuing to get better. We have an indoor facility now, which we didn't have 3 or so years ago. We have a new academic center that's going up. It'll be in our end zone. That the construction's already started on it. We're going to redo our weight room, which is needed. We have the size down there, but obviously we need to get that to a level where players are anxious to get in there. Now, if you're a really good player, you're anxious to get in there, period. And our guys have really made great progress in there. But we have a lot of athletes coming from better weight rooms in high school than ours is in terms of how it looks and the feel when you walk in. And so our guys are deserving of more than that. And there hasn't been anything done to it since I've been here, and that's 13 years. So we're in the process of getting that taken care of. And so the facilities are getting better and better. I think our coaching staff is a staff that's generally, for the most part, been together for quite some time, so we have some continuity there, and we kind of know what we're doing. We kind of know what we want to do. We talk to our players in a manner that that we think continues to build a culture here, as far as being able to see down the road as to what we want out of ourselves as coaches, ourselves as players, what we want out of this team coming up next year, what we want out of the teams that are ahead of that, and so we've painted a picture as to what we want to get done and what we want to accomplish. Now it's a matter of going out and doing it.
Yeah, you talk about speaking long term. I guess more specifically, what kinds of changes do you plan on making to the weight room?
New flooring, new weights, new racks. There'll be an area in there where players can actually work on their quickness and speed, where there is not now. And then, obviously, get some graphics up in there, repaint it, and so, somewhat of a complete makeover. We've already had have had donations presented to us towards that. We're continuing to raise money for that, and we hope to really get started as soon as the football season is over.
Talking about the future, early signing period this year, as far as that goes, what has that been difficult at all? Just not being able to completely focus on the bowl game right now, having to send coaches out to get recruits.
Yeah, it's a little different. We were out last week and recruiting, and I was a little nervous about that, because I want to get started on this next game. Want these guys to end the season on a high note. They're deserving of it. So I want to make sure we're prepared as much as possible to play a great football game. We went out though. So now we're not going out this week. A lot of schools almost every school will be out this week recruiting. We're right at our numbers in terms of signing players. And the players know that we're preparing, that have committed to us know we're preparing for a bowl game, and we just can't get to everybody because the signing date's going to be on the 20th when we're at the bowl site.
How is that going to work? I mean, I don't know if you know everything logistically, but are you just going to set up in a conference room and have a fax machine?
Yeah, it'll be more emailed than fax, and so that should work well.
Yeah.
But the timing is not the best, but it's workable, and we'll get it done.
Nathan was a little shaken up at the end of the Buffalo game. Just wondering if there was a status update on him and also AJ.
Yeah, Nathan was a little banged up going into the game, and then sustained an injury that he could play with, so he was not really at full strength, but he will have enough time now to get himself in good shape for the game. AJ, it's going to be close, for AJ as to whether or not he'll be able to be in the game.
And then just in terms of, you brought this up right at the beginning, but you said down the stretch maybe you guys didn't play as well as you would have hoped or coached as well. What did you really mean by coaching as well? Are there sort of specific things that you...
Well, it's our responsibility to have our team line up and play at the highest level it can play at. And we didn't do that. And so, it's not just the team's fault. It comes back to us and some. And so I think we all share in that. And our, and our guys understand that. They feel like they did not play at the level they needed to play at to get it done, obviously. And that's part of our responsibility to get them in position to do that.
And with the bowl, obviously in the Bahamas, you mentioned, I think, 3 practice days when you're there. Is there anything else sort of on the schedule for you guys leading up to the game?
You mean as far as
just like things like together as a team, or just sort of...
Yeah, they have some functions the bowl people do, and so there'll be a welcoming dinner the first night that we get there, and be around the bowl people, and there's some other things that are lined up, but when you're that close to the game, when you get down there, you want to watch film, you want to have some light practices, you want to have your mindset involved with the game, but you got to have a little bit of fun also, and they got to have a little bit of free time, which they'll get immediately when they get down there. But can you win a bowl game and have fun at a bowl site? Absolutely. I've been around teams that have been able to do that. Some teams, though, can get carried away and they just have fun, and then they don't get ready when the kickoff comes. But if you try to be all business and go down there, that doesn't work either, So there's got to be a little bit of a mixture with your players. As coaches, we understand that, and I think our players understand that.
You were down there just recently, right? So what did you think of just sort of the facilities, what they have there in terms of athletically, but also accommodations, I guess?
Yeah, the accommodations would be tough to beat. I don't have to drum up stuff for them to have fun down there. They are going to have fun down there. It's a great place to be, a great place to go as far as a bowl, and they're going to enjoy it. The hotel is amazing, and it's huge, and the grounds are spread out quite a bit. One thing, if you're not careful, you find yourself being late for meetings, so that's one thing we're going to have to stress with them a little bit. But other than that, there's going to be plenty for them to do. You're going to be around the water a lot. You're going to be around sand a lot, and you're going to be in heat, and so you got to make sure that you're not panting when the kickoff is just starting. So we're going to have to save their legs a little bit as we get closer to the game, which we'll be talking to them about. We'll let them run around for a little bit when we first get there, and then go from there.
Coach, one of the guys who's going to be playing his last game for you guys is Quinn Poling. Can you just talk about what kind of leader he's been and what kind of player he's been for you over these last couple of years?
He's been tremendous at both those things. His leadership, he's a bright guy, and he loves the game. And both of those show every time he's on the field, whether you're talking about practice or whether you're talking about a game. Very attentive in meetings. He took our defense and he organized some meetings for them at different times during the course of the game week to watch film on their own, and so he's as good as it gets in that area. I think when you have an athlete as good as he is, and you have somebody that's as bright as he is, a lot of times good things are going to happen. But you got to have a guy that's really interested in the team being promoted and moving forward, and rather than just himself. And he's that kind of guy. He's helped me have fun in the game. And I mentioned this, I think, to you guys before. It's he will not let me coach while he's here and not have any fun. He just won't let it happen. And so he's been good for me. And so it'll be tough to see him go.
Coach, not as much on the bowl game and football, but past 2 weeks there's been this whole coaching carousel stuff, and maybe not your opinion on it, but does it just make you think how lucky you are to be at Ohio and how long you've been here?
Now, you don't want my opinion on it?
Well, no, I mean, I would love your opinion, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah. I've loved my time at Ohio. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I wouldn't be here if I didn't feel like I was getting support from the president, athletic director on down. And I've felt very, very comfortable in all those areas here at Ohio. And if you look at my background, I'm not a guy that moves. I'm not a guy that's always searching for something else out there, reaching for something else out there. I almost didn't get out of high school coaching. I loved high school ball that much, and so if I like what I'm doing, I feel good about what I'm doing, that I really am contributing to something, and the people around me are good. I stay. I enjoy it, and so it's been a special time for me in the coaching business here.
Going back to recruiting, Frank, do you like the concept of an early signing period? Would you like it moved to a different part of the calendar?
There are players that are ready to sign right now. There's no question about it. In fact, almost every one of our guys are going to be signing on the 20th that we have committed right now, and so in that regard, it seems to be working out well for us. Obviously, there's an opportunity for players to sign on 2 different dates, and the one is the original date, first Wednesday in February, that it's always been, and then this one. And so I think a lot of the recruiting and the worry about going all the way to February to have your guys signed, that worry won't be there, and so, but in saying that, can you look at it from the standpoint of, are you going to have some scholarships that when there are some things that open up just before the last signing date, and do you have scholarships for a scholarship for a guy that maybe is graduating, going on to grad school, and wants to get his final year here? We've had the last couple of years, we've had, really good players that we've gotten in that regard. And not a lot, but, one each year. And so, you got to be careful with that signing date in that you want to get the majority of your class signed, but you may want to have a scholarship or 2 that you're able to go beyond on that date. I think for the conference, the group of 5, it's probably good. I don't see it being a negative for the group of 5. So, but I'm gonna hold back on saying it's exactly what we're after. till we run through this whole thing and then look at it and see if it's exactly what everybody's looking for, or a coach is going to want to make some adjustments to it.
Did you guys have a blueprint or a plan? I'm just making up numbers. Let's say you had 22 scholarships available. Did you say, well, we want to make sure we have at least 18 of those filled on the first signing date, December 20th? Was there some kind of blueprint entering this recruiting season this fall in terms of just the numbers there?
We wanted to have the vast majority of it completed by this signing date. But in saying that, we didn't want to feel pressured into signing guys that we didn't think were going to be guys that were going to help us win the MAC championship. And so you got to be careful that you're not hurrying to sign guys to the point where, are you really signing the right guys? And so we have not done that. But we've recruited hard, and we had a lot of visits early, and that's what's taking place now. It's moving the whole calendar up in terms of players coming in the summer taking unofficial visits, and which is tying your summer up. And then, so it's been a much busier summer than normal. And then obviously the guys that are taking their official visits. We've had a lot of official visits during the course of this season, during the weekends of the games, which, not only do you have the game in itself on the weekend, but you have recruits in on the weekend, and you got to visit with every one of those recruits and their families if they come in with families. And so it's made it much, much busier for coaches. There's no question about that. But I think it's still probably a plus for us.
Last kind of topic here with recruiting. You've got a player. He likes you. You like him. Everything seems on board. December 20th comes up and he says, "Yeah, I'm not going to sign today. I'm still committed, but I want to give myself those final 6 weeks." How does the program handle that? Do they move on? Does it depend on how good the guy is? How do you handle it when a guy you expect to sign early doesn't sign early?
Yeah. We don't necessarily just move on, but we do let the guy know that that we're going to keep recruiting hard, and if there's another player that wants to come here, there's a chance that scholarship won't be there. And it's just a matter of what it is. You're not trying to be tough on the kid, but you can't have yourself get caught short on having guys accept scholarships in your program. So if a guy doesn't want to sign on that date and he is holding off, you'll still recruit him, but you're going to be recruiting other guys at that position too. And we'll just see how it plays out. And so nothing's guaranteed on either end.
Any questions, guys? All right, thank you. Thank you, fellas. Thanks.
Thank you.